Taking a really, really tough break and turning it into an opportunity to help others. In the short form, that's what author Charlie Collins did. He was diagnosed with juvenile macular degeneration, which eventually leaves you blind. But after traveling through a downward spiral, he realized his life's purpose. He turned things around, and now he's helping other people who have trouble with vision. Joining me now is the author Charlie Collins. We're going to tell you what this is. It's sitting in between us in just a moment. We're going to chat a little bit first about his book, which is called Tripping into the Light. We'll give you a close-up of that later on, as well as his store that he set up in Cheshire that for years now has been selling devices to help the vision challenge. Blind, I know it's one term. What is the other way to
Legally blind.
Legally blind. All right. Now, I watched you walk in, Charlie, and you seem to be moving about. What do you see? What's your vision like?
Well, in the center, if I look at you straight on, you don't have a head. I see some body down here.
Yeah.
So I have peripheral vision. My center vision has been taken away from macular degeneration.
When you were diagnosed with this at 9, and it really started to hit in at 13, and in the years to come, as you were the first to admit, you had, shall we say, a rough time of it.
Yes.
What direction did that rough time go in?
Well, at age 13, I did receive a certificate of blindness through the state of Connecticut. It wasn't mail. I don't think any 13-year-old wants to get. Declaring, and it really shattered my life, took away my hopes and dreams, said you're not going to be able to drive, you're not good enough, you're going to be a loser, and you know, your face started to disappear, the chalkboard started to disappear, and my life just started to unfold right in front of me.
And what habits, should we say, did you develop in response
Well,
to this?
the habit of talking trash about myself and who I was, I moved into addiction, I went down a path of self-destruction.
What turned you around?
What turned me around was, you know, the bed I had lied in for nights, crying myself to sleep and wishing maybe this night I wouldn't wake up in the morning. I got an opportunity. Somebody believed in me and offered me a job. And that's when I got my first Optelect reading machine, and I started reading. I hadn't read in 10, 12 years.
You got one opportunity and it turned everything around. That's a lesson for everybody facing a hard time, no matter what it is, right here. So now that you brought it up, let's talk about this device right here. What do you call this? What does it do?
Well, this is an Optelect Clearview C. And what this does is it takes any printed material.
Here's the book. Here's the book down here. Here's
Yeah,
the book.
it's down on the tray here.
Okay.
So it takes any printed material and displays it in as large as you need it. When I'm not able to see what I'm doing on the screen, but I know it's working.
Yep, you're getting larger. Uh-huh.
Okay, so this takes that and displays it so I can now read, because I can see out the sides of my eye. So I can display it in large print and read. Not only that, but you can do hobbies. Lots of women paint their nails under it. We can do all sorts of neat things.
That's an important point, because the first thing I asked you was, well, this is all well and good, but I'm sure that there's iPad apps and computer apps that you can do the same thing. But you mentioned to me that there's a lot more than reading that a sight challenge person has to do.
That's right.
You mentioned painting nails.
Or putting batteries in your hearing aid.
Yeah.
Or putting a battery in a watch. Or
so what it would involve is you would move around to the front, put your hands underneath here,
exactly,
and then use that. It's so simple. It just might work.
Yes.
It inspired you, along with your newfound desire to help other people facing what you're facing, to open a store that's been open for quite a few years in Cheshire
18 years.
Now. 18 years.
Yes.
Tell me about your store.
Well, it's called Vision Dynamics, and the reason I did it was because the transformation that happened in my life when I put my hands on tools to help me live a better quality of life. I thought, hey, I have 4 sisters and 1 brother, and 4 out of 6 of us were all diagnosed as children, and we're all legally blind in my family.
Oh, really? So
yes.
there is a genetic component to
yeah,
this in
absolutely.
a big way.
And so I said, you know, my life transformed because I went somewhere and I put my hands on equipment that I didn't know existed. I've got to open a place for people to come in and to see, hey, I'm legally blind. I'm living a great quality of life. You can too.
What does tripping into the light mean? Is that, I take it what we've been talking about here, that's the shorthand version of that you found your way into the light, but it was a tough journey.
Yeah, well, the light, really tripping into your light, your main purpose. And tripping, I put part of it in because being visually impaired, I trip sometimes. So I put a little fun spin, and you got to read the book to figure out the rest of the tripping.
Well, you also make it clear that it's not just being challenged with your vision or being legally blind that this book is
No.
about. It covers, you can apply it to a range of things.
Yeah, absolutely. This will help with facing massive adversity in your life, suffering from vision impairment, addiction, things like that, and help move you from a place of true frustration into freedom.
Let's put up where Vision Dynamics can be found and can be contacted right here to let people know, because it's a wonderful idea, Charlie. And the fact that you've had this store and had it going for so long must be testament to how many people need the services,
Yes.
For one thing, and how valuable it is that you are providing them. It's an honor to have you here.
I believe that no matter what type of vision impairment you may have, and the frustrations and struggles you're facing day to day, there is hope and a solution for you. How do I know that? I'm going to share a bit about me that qualifies me for standing up on this stage. First, I want to ask you a question, or actually tell you a statement. Did you know the number one thing that limits a blind person is their vision? I got a group of smart ones. Did you know the number one thing that limits a sighted person is their vision? Did you know where there is no vision, people perish? After 2 years of being in and out of doctor's offices, my parents and I, along with my 4 sisters and brother, in our one car station wagon, finally headed up to Mount Sinai, where after 2 years of testing our family, we were sat down and we were delivered some pretty horrific news. Said, sorry, 4 of your 6 children have a disease in the eye called juvenile macular degeneration. There's nothing we can do. I was waiting for the pill or the pair of glasses, which I wasn't even happy about, but I was going to wear them. He said, then don't go skiing anymore. Don't do sports in school. Things are going to get hard for you. Print is going to get hard. You're going to find that things are going to start really changing in your life, so you got to be really careful. And when we walked out of that doctor's office, my mother took that piece of paper, crumpled it up, and threw it in the first garbage can. And the lesson in that is, the one thing you don't want to do to people with vision impairment or any adversity in life is enable them. We want to be able to do what we can do. So, this is when I truly became blind in my life. Why is that? Be up to that point, before any of us go to, well, first of all, how many people in this room have some type of vision impairment or macular degeneration? Raise your arm really high. Holy gosh, there's a lot of you here. I pretend I saw all those arms. But you know what? You're not alone. And I felt that way for most of my life, even living with 2 sisters and a brother. I still felt alone. Nobody got it. I say I went blind when the doctor told me, because that's when my thinking changed. Blindness is caused by your thinking. It's not caused by a thing in your eye. The eye doesn't even do the seeing. We see with our brains, we don't see with our eyes. I wish I knew all that back then, because I was focused. I mean, vision is the number one thing we do for our senses. So, what happened to me? I fell into an I can't mindset. I can't do this. I can't see the chalkboard. I can't read books. I can't. And because of that, the world around me collapsed. Faces went away. Chalkboards went away. Print in school books went away. And you know what? You're doing something that's really important with low vision is to laugh. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're not a loser. At least I'm just sharing what I used to think I was. You're not less than. You are good enough. Heck, when you're out at a restaurant, you eat some plastic decoration on your plate, and you go, what the heck is this? Laugh at it. Certainly laughing at me. And then I take it out and I go, where's that cook? That guy's an idiot. Why would I want plastic on my plate? So my head went down. My self-esteem went down. My parents' relationship went down. My relationship, I turned to alcohol. I turned to drugs. I
did things in my life to try to find my place of happiness, and all that happened was I got sicker and sicker. And what does macular degeneration do to Charlie? It took out his whole life. That little thingy in the back of my eye, my little drusen's were getting thicker, and you were disappearing, my whole world, my hopes and dreams were gone, and I couldn't imagine it anymore. I'm landscaping up at a motorcycle dealership. I had a motocross bike, by the way. I rode motorcycles. I skied. I pole vaulted in high school. I drove my parents' car when they were sleeping. I've done everything I shouldn't do. Because don't tell me not to do something, I'm going to do it. I want to prove to those people that I'm not a loser. See, but I don't have to do that anymore today, even though I still do, for you to like me. See, I thought I was less than, not good enough, and people weren't going to like me because of a disease in my eye. And if that person is out there, they're the loser, not me. Well, I cut the grass at a motorcycle dealership. The owner came out to tap me on the shoulder, and I thought he was going to tell me, "You're done. You don't do a good enough job around here." But the lawn was always perfect. He said, "Hey, I was wondering if you wanted to work here." What? Why would he ever ask a legally blind loser if he wants to work at a motorcycle dealership? That didn't come out of my mouth, but it went into my head. And did you know, the next thought was, how did he know? I love this place. Well, you're in here all the time buying stuff in your motorcycle. And I'd like to give you an opportunity. I said, "What do you want me to do? Sell motorcycles." Cool. Well, I went home. I told my mother, and she thought I should do that. I thought you were just being my mother. Maybe you should go do it. But deep down, years of blocking my whole purpose and who I am as a person was keeping that part of me that was going to come out in the very near future. Well, I listened to my mother, and I went upstairs and I laid in bed, in that same bed that I lied in for years and cried myself to sleep. That same bed that I looked up to that power greater than myself, and I said, "Tonight would be a good night if you took me." This night was different. I didn't ask God to take me, who I was mad at anyway. I didn't ask. I didn't cry. I fell asleep soundly. I got up in the morning. I said, I can. I walked in at a motorcycle dealership. I said, "Jimbo, I'd love to take the job, but you got to know, I'm legally blind." And by the way, I'm so glad I'm not illegally blind. I should be, after what I did out there. And you can certainly read my book and find out all the dirt on me. Which is over there. He said, "I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you." I kept running in my head. Somebody believes in me? Heck, I failed out of school. I failed out of college. I failed in everything I did in life. And really, I didn't. I feared. So, I said, "Jim, but I need help. I need devices. I need things." I'd never used them all the way up there. Because blind people use that stuff, not me. So I got my very first Optelec CCTV, which we have here, but they were nothing like they are today, but it was good enough. Did you know the brain is a muscle and the brain will go into atrophy if you don't use it? Yeah. Of course, just like, the guns, the arms, the muscles, you break, you know what happens. I won't say it. All right, so the brain can go in, mine did. I hadn't read in 10 years. I had to relearn how to read. I had to relearn how to write. All of a sudden, I was reading like crazy. I had my Optelec CCTV. I had dark writing pens. I had lighting that you see over there. I had pocket magnifiers, and I had a new way of life. Within a few short days, I was ignited. You know what happened? In 3 short years from that day. First, I became $1 million salesman. Second, in 3 short years, I became the vice president, part owner of a multi-million-dollar corporation as a legally blind loser who once thought that way. We become what we think about all day long. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I guarantee you know that dude is. Very good writer. So if you focus on what you can't do, guess what you're gonna do? That, nothing. If you focus on what you can do, you'll have, so ask questions each day. How can I? What is the best thing I can do about this? And I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you much more about my story, but I have gone from frustration to freedom. I do not get up and think about having a vision impairment most days of my life. But actually never. I work with so many people. I'm always giving and trying to teach you how to see again. I forget I have it. Until I start driving somebody's car, I remember. So, I hate having peripheral vision. I'm only kidding. So I'm done. I was going to do an exercise, and if we have time, I'll do it. It's a fun exercise. I can do it. Okay. All right, so everybody watch out. I'm going to get shorter. Boom! All right. I knew the floor was big. Don't worry. There's a formula called E plus R equals O. The events in your life plus your response equal your outcome. Just like 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? If you don't like 4, change one of the numbers. But 2 plus 2 is 4. E plus R equals O. The events plus my response give me my outcome. All right. May I ask your name? Helen? Helen. I'm going to do a little test on you. The red does not look good on you, and I don't really like your glasses. So, how do you think that raised Helen's self-esteem or lowered it? Okay, so you weren't listening to my example in the beginning. E plus R equals O. The event in your life plus your response deliver your outcome. Helen could have said, you know, Charlie doesn't know what he's talking about. I look good in red. She could have said, you know, this Collins guy's an idiot. I think he's talking to me and picking on me because he has a crush on me. What do you think that's going to do? That's going to raise her self-esteem and her self-confidence. So I wanted to just tell you that no matter what events happen in your life, the doctor tells you got macular, let's get through that feeling. Know that feeling. Go through the depression shortly. But step outside of that. And know that each event, if you want a better outcome in life, respond differently from today forward. Thank you.
One could argue that sight is the most important of the 5 senses, which is why the diagnosis of blindness is so devastating for anyone. But as News 12 Connecticut's Matt Kozar shows us, one local man is trying to improve the outlook of people suffering with low vision, one magnifying glass at a time.
In the basement of his Trumbull home, Bill Paul, a former helicopter engineer,
Cross cameras started.
is using some unusual tools to read his email.
And feared losing her job.
So I put my hand over here, right?
And some unusual tools to sign his paperwork. It's all because the 75-year-old suffers from a form of macular degeneration, a disease that nearly crippled his career.
I knew in my soul that all of my experience, my brain, my capabilities, I had all that. And if I could only find a way of bootstrapping my eyesight problem up.
And I press a button.
Those bootstraps came in the form of an energetic 44-year-old
Take a picture of that page.
who sells everything
And I move an XY table left and right.
from high-end computers
12:21 p.m.
to talking alarm clocks.
That's why the screen is bigger.
His store, Vision Dynamics in Cheshire, is a one-stop shop for people with low vision and blindness.
He had a blast.
Many people that walk in my store here, they are told there's nothing that can be done. They are told they can't read anymore.
Charlie Collins opened this shop 14 years ago, but he doesn't consider himself a businessman, more a visionary here to help others. You see, Charlie Collins is blind and has been since he was 10 years old.
Can you see me right now, or how blurry do I look?
You had dark clothes and a little bit of a, no, I don't, you're very blurry.
If you have the part,
Collins says doctors never fully understood his macular degeneration, so he turned to technology for help. Then he says it hit him.
Voila.
Why not open a shop where people could test equipment before buying it?
Okay.
And Collins says there's a lot of equipment that can make life easier. Just ask former engineer Bill Paul.
I'd be sitting in a room, basically, doing nothing, instead of the past 15 years being very, very active. Now, what does that mean to your lifetime?
I know that each person has a calling. I know all of us do, and I know mine was this.
A calling for a man who may have blurry eyesight, but whose vision is crystal clear.
And the beauty of all this stuff is it allows you to use that.
Matt Kozar,
You're gonna use it.
News 12 Connecticut.
Collins says he plans to expand his business to include hearing devices. If you'd like more information on vision dynamics, visit our website.
My name is Charlie Collins, and in 1980, I was declared legally blind with an eye condition called macular degeneration. What that did was slowly started taking my center detailed vision away from me. I would sit in my front row of the classroom, and I was unable at that point already to see the teacher's writing on the chalkboard. I was full of fear. Oh my gosh, how am I ever going to succeed in life? The day we installed Zoom Text, my life, like that moment, started to change. It opened the world for me on a computer. I just do a keystroke and it'll pull up an email and read it to me. I can follow along in large print on my screen. I can search the internet, read the internet. I don't even know I'm doing what I'm doing half the time. It's all in my non-conscious brain. It's going up, down, small, bigger, read this, do this, boom, boom, boom. I'm moving around the computer faster than most sighted people now. People will come to me and say, you own your own business? I'm like, yes. They're like, how do you do that? You're blind. And I'm like, I don't know. How do you do what you do? We learn how to live life with whatever challenge we get given, I use the tools provided to me by Zoom Text. It instantly enhances the computer in your life.
The best way to make your computer easy on the eyes.